I know you've heard me talk about my horses, but I've never really told their story. So today I'm starting with the story of Mystic behind me with the cutest little butt ever. My life has never been quite normal. I've been nomadic. I've always lived on the fringe. My friends used to always call me a gypsy. And I had a horse. I got when I was in my early 30s, and an Arabian mare back in the days when you looked at the newspaper ads. And I had taken a sabbatical. I had a health thing going on, and I took a sabbatical and went to Mexico for a few months, and I boarded her at the facility at the house that I used to live in. The woman who moved in boarded her with another horse. And I got a notice one day that she was putting Champagne down that night. Apparently there had been a stomach virus that was not diagnosed, not treated, and she had colicked severely. And it was horrible. Being away when my horse was passing was just horrific. I would never leave my horses for any length of time now. But anyway, I didn't have a horse for a few years, and I just always knew that life is better with a horse. So I decided I was going to get a horse again a few years later. And I started looking at rescues, a few ads, but mostly rescues. And I went to this one rescue, and I called around, he had an Arabian. I wanted an Arabian that was maybe around 5. I prefer a horse that hasn't been started, so no baggage. And he said he had one, so I went over to see her, and he had a small pen, just panels, of about 10 or 12 horses, and she was in the middle, this little gray Arab, and she just stayed in the middle. She was trying to be as invisible as possible. So the rescue team came and caught her and put her in the arena so I could see her move, and she was lovely, really light, athletic, smooth, and beautiful mover. So despite the fact that she had dreadlocks, she was pot-bellied, she was just really scruffy looking from having kind of a tough time. And so we went I looked at her a while, then couldn't catch her. Nobody could catch her, so we left her in the arena. I don't know what they did after I left, but I thought, nah, that's a deal breaker for me. Again, I've become a little more enlightened, and that would not be a deal breaker now for a new horse. So I looked at a few more horses, and the guy called, and he said, if you don't want that gray mare, I'm going to put her back out in the storage pasture. And it really bothered me that he was going to do this, because I could tell she was really a sensitive, frightened horse. So I said, I'll come look at her again. And when I got there, I got her this time, easier to catch, put her in the round pen, and within 2 hours I could pick up all of her feet. She was very gentle with it. I put a blanket on her, a saddle pad, I put a saddle on her, and just sat it on her and walked around, and she was so agreeable. And I thought, well, this is a really good sign, but I'm just not sure. So I went home, and they had been calling her Misty at the rescue. And I went home, and I had a card deck by Melissa Pierce, and I think it's called Touched by a Horse. And I drew a card, and the card was mystical. And I'd been tossing around names. If I get her, Misty isn't going to work for me, so I was thinking Mystique, Mystic, possibly Mysteria. And I drew that card, and I thought, it's not going to get any more affirmative than this. When I looked at the card, the reading said, the vastness of your purpose and the energies of the universe are before you at this time. What was once mundane and straightforward now seems to be full of mystery. Your understanding of the mystical energies is deepening. And little did I know that having a horse again at this time in my life would set me on such a different path. Mystic is highly sensitive, and I had quite a learning curve with her. I look back, and of course I have things I regret, the way I did things with her. I would do them differently now. And I actually think she feels the same. That will be continued in part 2. But this is part 1 on the story of Mystic.